So y'all seen the intro. If you're new to the channel, y'all, I got a 2003 CL Type S Curtis D Southside J Series. I've absolutely fallen in love with this car. I also have an 02 Accord, an 02 Accord Coupe that kind of led me in the path I've been going with the cars. The Accord's down for the count right now. It's acquired a vacuum leak, so different plans with that car. So we're really focused on the CL Type S. And my little time apart from y'all, my little vacation from y'all, had some decisions in life to handle. I've been doing some collecting, so I've been promising y'all an inventory shakedown, new content coming. Obviously we're going to put this stuff into the CL. Obviously we're going to do some reviews on this stuff, clearly. Then goals for the car, for the CL to be met. I've been handing V6 Mopar boys their ass on the highway. Haven't lost a one yet. I'm 4-0 up against 350Zs, but I have lost two 370s, two of them, both one an automatic, one a manual. The manual did me real bad, so one goal is to beat a 370. Next goal is after that to get an RT Charger or Challenger. Next goal after that is to get a 392 Scat, whether it be a Charger or a Challenger, in a 20-year-old V6 Honda. So these are the goals. Let's get straight into stuff. I'm gonna snatch y'all up real quick off the tripod. We're gonna slide on over here to the dining room table because I got it all situated with all the stuff except for one thing, because I'm not bringing a whole exhaust kit up from the basement after I've already got it down there. I'll throw a quick little clip of the rest of the exhaust in right about here. Alright, so now that we're back, we're gonna slide on over here and I'm gonna flip y'all around. So what we have here is obviously the trans stuff. I went cheap here. Won't be using this. I don't know where the other little bearing is. So we got an FX Grip Force Stage 3 unsprung clutch kit. It's eBay stuff right here. Like I said, we won't be using that. Heard horrible things about these, so we won't be using that. We'll get either an OEM one or see if Clutch Masters has one that fits the CL real quick. So want to get into this. I went extravagant over here. We have a Clutch Masters aluminum lightweight flywheel. This thing will take a lot of the load off the transmission. It says it's going to give you a lot of mid-range torque, which I'm looking forward to. That's exactly where I need it. Cool thing about this, I should quit touching it because the oil messes up this little plate, but you don't have to get this resurfaced. This is all aluminum except for this plating right here, and you can obviously see these little bolts and screws right here, or these little bolts, I don't know why I call them screws. These little bolts hold this steel plate in, and I believe you can get this resurfaced if you want, but you can also replace it through Clutch Masters. Super cool, super convenient. I believe it said it's good for up to 3 or 4 times. Sliding over, we have a Pro Tuning Labs exhaust setup. I got the headers here. We got some RV6 gaskets. We got some P2R header gaskets, because this exhaust setup was in the Accord. It's not a very expensive exhaust setup. I believe it's $450 for the whole shebang. I also have a Mishimoto test pipe that goes from the end of the J pipe into the catback. Sliding on over to suspension, we have some BR coilovers and some P2R radius rod bushings here, polyurethane. These will help with the wheel hop because first to second gets kind of rowdy, even in the stock form. And if I can get the camera to focus as I slide in down here a little bit. Right, well, there we go. You can see that says 09 plus Accurate TL. You're probably wondering why I would buy these. Why'd I spend all this money for $1,200 coilovers for a car I don't have? Well, did a little research, jumped on a few forums, took me a couple hours. I found out in searching for something else, I can't remember exactly what I was searching for. These are the same exact measurements all around, down to where the bolts go up into the behind the seat, down to where this meets to the rear knuckle. The only difference is this mounting point right here. So this mounting point is a U mounting point. The bolt slides through. This slides over top the knuckle, obviously. If you can't tell that, you need to, I don't know what yourself. If you have a cord or a CL, it has like a little, right here, it would be just a rod just like that and a little bulb on the end of it. And that little bulb goes inside. Cool thing about BC is you can get on their website and something breaks on your coilovers, you don't have to buy a brand new set of coilovers. You can actually disassemble these and just replace the part that's broken. So super convenient, super cool that I get to just take the bottom part of this off, slap the one that goes to the CL and the Accord on there, and the strut tower and the spring rating is a lot better because that TL is all-wheel drive. So they stiffened that up a little bit for that car being all-wheel drive. So that's the reason why I got those. Next thing, we got a Skunk 2 Pro Series throttle body. I believe it's a 70mm. The reason this isn't in, I don't have the, I got the adapter plate. Well, let's slide over here first. So big money, this is what I've really been anticipating putting in. We have the P2R billet adapter set up right here for the Holley EFI intake manifold. Comes with the intake manifold spacer, thermal gasket. It's all billet aluminum. Super, super excited about this, right? So that setup right there is typically for a boosted car, and our car is NA for now. So how I'm going to combat air density is we're going to kind of do like a little DIY thing. We got plenty of stuff to go into the car, but one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to create an air box. I'm going to make the cold air intake a lot more functional with the engine that's on there. It's really not a cold air intake, it's more or less like a hot air intake. I'm going to create some type of box, and if you guys don't know anything about me, I'm an iron worker. I got a little bit of welding certs in me, so not very familiar with TIG, but it can't be too much rougher than stick, and I'm pretty damn good at stick welding. So we're going to slap us the air box together. We're going to make one of the air ducts that's just on the car for looks functional. We're going to create some type of hosing, some type of ventilation system for the air to go up into that air box and shoot straight to that cold air intake, making that cold air intake a lot more functional, enclosing that air, making sure that air goes nowhere but into that filter and into this intake, so the air density goes up. We're getting more air by more volume. The air got more volume with the intake manifold. This thing being super open like it is, these holes right here being super ported. We're going to get that all the way. Point of supercharging this car. That's right, I said supercharging this car. Later on down the road, we will be getting a Rotex from Jersey Bear Performance, the DIY kit, to go in there. Sliding back to the Skunk. Now, why is this thing not in there? We have the adapter plate. We got everything for this thing to go in. Well, P2R nor Holley provides you with the mounting bolts, so we don't have those. P2R does not provide, when you get the adapter plate, this bracket. And when you buy the bracket that goes to this from P2R, it also, this throttle body doesn't have an IAC sensor mount. So because this is for a car that doesn't have a functioning IAC sensor that is on this throttle body, we have to buy another adapter kit. So that is the reason all this right here is not in. The reason these are not in was because this. The reason these didn't get put in, and I had the tire off and I had all the stuff coming out, and I got one bolt for the radius rod out, I almost broke my hand getting it caught in between the lower control arm and the steering knuckle, because that second bolt is directly under the CV axle, and the bottle jack I had supporting the lower control arm about crushed my hand. So I kind of gave up that day, was super mad, super pissed off, and almost lost a thumb. Got these gaskets in, got all this stuff out, took this up to the union hall, cleaned all these headers, all the old gasket stuff off of them. Was going to go over some welds there. They don't have a TIG set up there at the training center, and basically looked at me and he told me, because I was like, man, here, we'll slide it over here. This header right here, let me get it in position. If you look at that indentation, if you know anything about welding, welding's all about penetration. There's indentation right there, and it thins that weld out a lot. So us putting that amount of air into the car, obviously that amount of gas is going to be coming out a lot more frequent at a lot higher rate at a lot more volume. I was worried about that weld having that indentation right there, and that it's really favoring the header piping and not the flange. So you really want a 50-50 split when you're welding something as best as you possibly can. You want your weld, half your weld up on that flange and half your weld down on that piping. That weld's favoring the piping a lot. I mean, like 3/4 of the weld is on the piping and not that flange. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better view of it, but that's just what it is. There's an indentation. The penetration to the weld doesn't look very good. And all I'm sitting here thinking about is I'm going to be forcing all this air in, and all this, obviously gas is going to be, all these fumes are going to be coming out of the exhaust at a lot higher rate because I'm getting a lot more air in there, accumulating a lot more stuff to come out. I just don't want that weld to give. So I was going to take that up there, get that welded. My instructor basically told me I was nitpicking, quit being a princess with race car stuff. So that's where we're at, and I kind of am being a princess with all this stuff. The mission stuff. This stuff will be the first stuff going in. Still waiting on some Honda bond, because we will be doing a rear main seal while we're in there. I can tell that it's leaking a little bit of oil from the bell house and from the engine right there. So I'm sure that the rear main seal needs to be replaced. Not giving me a lot of trouble, but making weird noises, small vibrations, especially when we're at idle. If I drive the car for a little bit of a distance, like 30-40 minutes, kind of starts doing a weird like vibration, idle, stalling out thing. I really think that it's not my clutch or my flywheel in there. It's either this little fella in there, because it's making weird vibrations when it's just sitting there, or it's this little fella right here in there making the flywheel do weird vibrations. So I'm positive we got plenty of clutch left in there. It's just those little bearings in there that I'm worried about. Other than that, man, I'll give you a little insight on the first big modification after we get all this stuff in there. The amount of money right here just sitting here waiting to go in, so there's no point in spending more money just accumulating stuff. I want to start knocking this stuff out. Give you a little insight. So first big modification after I get all this stuff in there and all the little supporting mods behind this stuff, we're going to do a P2R final drive set. I'm not really set on which one I want to do. I'm not sure if I want to do the 3.55 or if I want to do the 4.01. Talked to Sean, talked to Jonathan up at P2R, told them I still want to daily the car, I still want to do street stuff in the car, I still want to be able to take the car to the store, to work, and everywhere else that I need the car to go, because this is my only running vehicle right now. They told me I'm probably better off with the 3.55 and getting the stuff from the 2017 Honda Accord that goes with it, and then the 12-bolt LSD that's going to go in there, but I'm not going to get the 12-bolt LSD, so we're going to do the 3.55 most likely. Then we're going to get on Jersey Bear's site, excuse me, and we're going to get the Cusco 12-bolt LSD that bolts in there, get the main shaft, get all the other little odd and end bobs and stuff that we need for that, and we're going to put some synchros into the trans. So we're going to beef the trans up just to make sure that all the engine performance mods that we put in there isn't overworking that transmission. Still might go ahead and get a master clutch pressure plate and sprung 6-puck, just because I don't want it to be grabbing extra hard and then dumping extra hard, even though I'm letting off easy. That's the convenience of having a sprung clutch. But yeah, So we're gonna go like OEM plus. Like I said, if Acura / Honda would have made a CL Type R, that's what we're gonna do with this car. So I've done research on basically the difference between an SI Civic and a Type R Civic is everything. 3/4 of everything here is they get a better intake. They get a stiffer suspension. They get ported stuff opposed to non-ported stuff. They get a bigger displacement or more displacement. They get their compression rating's better. So they typically get a turbocharger later on down the road, and the SI don't. Bigger engine, so they'll go from a 1.8 to a 2.2 and stuff like that. We're not going to be doing all that with the SL or CL. Sorry, the SL. I'm sitting there thinking SI, CL. You know what I'm saying. So my Type S, the CL, we're going to be turning it into a Type R. No, I will not be throwing badging on there. No, I might do a carbon fiber hood or something like that, but I'm not going to put Type R badging on my car. My Accord, when I bought it, had that stuff on there and it looked tacky as hell, and I'd already taken it off. But we're going to basically do a rundown and try to make this car as close to a Type R as if Honda would have done it as possible. Got a few more things. The Transit, they typically don't do that. They don't beef up the gear ratios with the from the SI. They'll have the same gear ratio settings. I want to do that because I know that's a great modification. I've done that with a V8 car I've had, and that's just a very overlooked modification for a car, and you get a lot of performance out of it. You get a lot. It's very, very noticeable. Those little 2/10 on a final drive. It's super noticeable. If somebody does what they said they're going to do, we have a big announcement for the CL also later on down the road. Don't want to drag this end out too much further than this. Racing content, review content. We got in all this stuff to go in. I done spent too much money. All this stuff is going in before I spend any more money. So y'all got shit to look forward to. Till the next one. Peace.